you
Hey, I'm Eno. Great to see you.
GM at the Soul Brothers. You actually, our pre-roll, what it usually is.
What is that?
Usually we do welcome to the Soul Brothers, Solana's finest podcast, where we throw you into the Solana rabbit hole and show you around in our exciting ecosystem. And then it's Eno's role to say the second part of the
yeah, which is, hi, I'm Eno. I was in the sun for too long this morning, and I look a little bit different.
So we don't have Eno here with us today, as you can tell. Welcome to everyone on the live stream. We are live streaming from CROSSROADS, Istanbul right now. Yes, sir. We are on the ground here together with Kash. And I thought, why not have a quick interview about yourself, about Jupiter.
Yeah.
And do some deep dives here together, especially for Soul Brothers, for the podcast, to not only show people more about Kash and who that person is, but also to give a good explanation of what's happening at Jupiter right now, because a lot of stuff is going on.
That is our biggest problem, is how fast we are shipping right now. And,
exactly.
So I appreciate the opportunity to kind of put things into a coherent story. Let me just quickly retweet the stream, though.
Oh, yeah.
I just realized.
No problem.
1 second.
All good.
Folks, we're doing this live, as you can tell.
Oh, yeah. Our live streams are not polished, by the way. Like, people are used to misery here. Like, usually, sometimes we record things like 3 times and whatever, and we cut stuff out.
Boom.
So the live stream people, they are backstage, basically. You're behind the curtain.
That's right.
And this is also, it's outside of the normal order. Normally, we live stream every Monday, same time, early morning, UTC. And now it's a Friday, I think. So people,
no idea what day
it's a special EP, okay? It's a special Soul Brothers
just
EP.
for you, Soul Brothers faithful.
Exactly. So big W to Kash for showing up here. thank you so much for dropping by.
Of course, man. Wouldn't miss it.
Obviously, Soul Brothers are big fans of Jupiter and big fans of everything you guys do. But it has been very noisy in the past. So maybe we can actually start there.
Sure.
And then wrap up later on with a bit more of the cash related questions,
Okay,
because I have some stuff on my mind that I actually want to curiously ask. But first of all, it started, actually your journey with Jupiter started not too long ago, because you transitioned from Super Team to Jupiter.
Correct.
And I want to know a little bit what you can tell the masses. Why the move? Personally, like what happened? Why did you go from being the Sherpa of Super Team to being the Sherpa of Jupiter now? What motivated you to do that?
Yeah.
And now reflecting back, what do you think about that move retrospectively?
That second part is pretty tough. So
Mhm.
there was kind of like three main reasons that I was kind of ready for a transition out of Super Team. So the first one was in all honesty, I was part of the founding team, with Akshay and Neil and Tanmay and Dave, and we scaled up from like nothing at a time when like even the idea of doing like a community effort was kind of silly and strange. Scale it up to whatever we had at the time. I left like 15 countries or 16 countries or something like that. And so I'd seen it all and had seen a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of was in the mood for a bit of a new challenge. So there was a personal kind of component to it. Then there was also this pro-social kind of component to it, where I genuinely believe that decentralization is not the absence of leaders, but the abundance of them. And because of a bunch of different factors like the ecosystem call and some other things, I was becoming like a very tall tree. And there was a way in which I was kind of blocking out some of the sun from the rest of the leads. And I think that was like genuinely not good. It was not my intention.
Yeah.
But like there's so many great leads like Aditya Shetty, like An, like Arthur, and Nick. There's a billion of them, right? Or 15 of them or whatever.
We can name them all. But
they're all great, right?
Yeah.
And I think there was a way in which I was becoming kind of too identified with Super Team. The face of it, which was, obviously flattering and super fun, but it was probably not the best for the long-term strength of the community, right? Within Super Team, I used to talk all the time about this idea of the bus test. Could you get hit by a bus and have your community continue to exist, right? And if the answer is no, they don't have a community of an audience. Yeah. And we were kind of teetering in that territory.
You put it to the test.
I put it to the test
by leaving the bus.
And by the way, so far it seems okay. Yeah,
it seems okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so like that was one reason. So kind of needing a new challenge, then kind of feeling like it was in the best interest of Super Team itself. And then the third was Meow is a very persuasive guy, as you know. He's a wild character, and he. He just kind of pitched me on the vision of Jupiter, and it really accords with what I think like the future of crypto is going to be, and like how it can be useful and meaningful. Yeah. And the whole team is cracked, and I loved a lot of people over there already. I'd known folks like Soju for many years, it kind of came together perfectly.
Kind of tagging along on that narrative, what is the North Star of Jupiter that hooked you in? Like, what is the mission and the vision without getting too corporate? Kind of, I don't want to know the mission statement.
The mission is to have integrity and clear. No,
whatever that means. But there was something that Meow said to you, apart from, I don't know, like the more personal things like, hey, new challenge and so on. But there was something he said to you that clicked, where you were like, okay, actually what Jupiter doing is big. Like the journey that they're on, I want to be part of that.
Yeah.
What is the North Star that you guys are moving towards that motivates you to fucking be so on with Jupiter, because it's not normal. Like, like our jobs, they're not normal. We could also do something a bit more relaxing.
In theory, at least. But for me, it's very simply, it's this idea of GUM, of this like global unified market.
Right.
And I kind of heard this idea of, okay, what if you had every asset on the same kind of public blockchain, all the liquidity connected, and you'd be able to kind of seamlessly move back and forth between them. Okay. Not only would this allow like kind of new assets to really grow, but it'd be incredible for financial inclusion all across the world, right? I'm an American. I'm ethnically Indian. I've spent time in Singapore and London and now in Dubai and stuff. And just like a very obvious thing, if you travel a lot or if you have international family, is that like opportunity is not evenly distributed, like especially on the financial side. Yeah. So Americans and even Europeans have it much better than everybody else. And so I think I found that to be like a really inspiring kind of mission from like a accessibility perspective, and honestly just from like a finance nerd perspective of just like, this is the dream of finance. It was like, we've always wanted to have everything in one place. Yeah. Right, because like liquidity begets liquidity, and so if you have a single place that has all the liquidity, things end up growing much faster and scaling much faster.
But that's basically the Solana pitch, no? That's the internet capital market pitch. Yeah, that is the Solana journey we're on. And I
think in many ways Jupiter is kind of like the torchbearer for that vision, right? Like if you look at across the ecosystem, I would agree with you that it is, totally famously NASDAQ, at the speed of light or whatever it is. I don't think that anyone is doing more on that dimension right now than Jupiter. There's many other great people who are contributing. I'm not trying to put anyone else down, but like,
in terms of size as well.
In terms of size and scale,
meaning.
like we are kind of driving it forward. So, for me personally, to be able to join like the biggest guys doing the thing that I think is most interesting about crypto in a leadership capacity is, pretty fun. Hard to say no to.
Sounds fun.
Yeah,
I have to admit. Yeah. So global unified markets, that is kind of the big vision, the North Star that we're walking towards. And on the way, we have to build out a shitload of stuff.
That's right.
Which is happening basically right now.
Correct.
And Jupiter is shipping things, right? There's always... Constantly. So even like only last week, the last Software Pod EP that we recorded, so you might have tuned into that and you heard about all the news, the latest and greatest at Jupiter that dropped. It started with the update to Metis 1.5, V1.5.
That's right. Oh, wow.
So you kind of make sense of that. And it's for you.
Forgot about that, honestly.
It was like 1 year ago. No, it was like last week, right? So there was this.
Was it literally last week?
It was literally, I think, last week. Now it's Friday. It was last week. Yeah. Jesus. So last week we talked about these things. There was Juno, coming out as well. Big thing that you talked about. Then now, once like people talk about Ultra V2, there's something, some rumors around there. I think at CROSSROADS probably we're gonna learn more about that.
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, talk to the tech team a little bit on that one.
Okay, so there's this one going on. What did I forget? So we have Juno, we have Metis, we have Ultra V2.
I mean, Portfolio in mobile came out recently. Perps got a little bit better across a bunch of different dimensions. Smart trigger orders and smart limit orders came across.
Yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on. What do you think is what's the most exciting to you right now in the whole product stack that's going on? What feature have you been like, wow, this is fire?
For me, it's Jup Pro. I think that Jupiter Pro is like actually an industry-leading kind of like pro trading terminal experience.
Yeah.
And it's like 1/10 the cost, and it's like in the interface that you know and love, and it has a bunch of things that no one else has, like net buy momentum, organic scores, we're adding a bunch of content to the token pages. So that's like the most exciting one for me. But I like to trade a little bit. So outside of that, I think from like a general growth perspective, I'm really excited about the Ultra Mode API kind of going out to everybody and getting that integrated into all parts of DeFi.
Talk to you about that a little bit more, because right now, what's on the market? What API is being used? Because a shitload of DeFi apps on Solana are using Jupiter APIs.
That's right.
There's actually a lot of value being created by people using tech made by Jupiter.
That's right. More than $500 million has been earned by our partners. And by the way, Jupiter has not earned $500 million. So like our partners have earned much more than we have.
From tech that's being built in-house by Jupiter.
Correct.
And what tech was used back then and what is changing now?
So back then it was largely, I don't know, like at the risk of getting too technical. So there's like a self-hosted binary, and then there's also an API through this thing called Portal. But the basic idea is that everything that you see out in the world is based on Metis V1, right? Which is really just looking at on-chain AMMs and is really optimizing for reliability,
right?
Because it undergirds all of Solana DeFi.
Yeah.
The most important thing was that it worked, right? And when you're just looking for something that works, it's not necessarily going to be like, the most performant thing in the world, right? Like, a Ferrari does not always work perfectly. Like they break down because they are like really at the cutting edge of performance. So that was Metis V1. Now with Ultra Mode and with Juno, as you pointed out, we're taking all the liquidity across DEXs, plus all this liquidity from 18 different market makers that we've onboarded around the world, plus this liquidity that other routing algorithms are finding from Hashflow and Dflow right now, and more to come later on. And we're putting all that into one simple little package. But the coolest thing about the Ultra Mode API is that it allows you to not think at all about anything else. So normally if you're a developer, you got to think about RPCs, you got to think about like your infrastructure costs, AWS, whatever the hell else is going on. Ultra Mode takes care of all of that for you. You literally just add a few lines of code and you have the best swap experience anyone can deliver, built right in. Wow. And very soon we're going to have custom fees on top of that as well. So you can add in your own custom fees on top.
For your DeFi app that you're building using the Jupiter API.
Correct.
API.
Yeah.
Cool. And then how does this tie into the Jupiter ecosystem in terms of from a business model point of view? Like, why is it bullish for you guys to have that tech out in the world right now?
I mean, in the most literal sense, it's like, it's more fees, right? Where Ultra Mode takes 10 bips on volatile pairs. It's free for stable pairs, but like for volatile pairs, it's 10 bips.
That's what we see at jup.ag right now?
Correct. On Ultra Mode. You can always turn it off, right? But yeah, if you use Ultra Mode, that is correct.
And that's what we will basically carry out into the Solana ecosystem once DeFi apps start to adapt that one.
Correct.
And they replace their free API, which they're using right now, with the Ultra, which is much more advanced,
much more powerful, better price, better execution. Really, better execution is the thing that matters, right?
Right.
Because I can tell you that I'll sell you, I'll sell you a MacBook for $2, but your
Mhm.
actual executed price is whatever, $2,000, right? So like the quoted price does not actually make the most difference.
Mhm.
The thing is the execution, and that's really where I think Juno and Ultra Mode stand out. So
Bullish.
bullish.
Yeah,
I would say so
definitely
too.
bullish.
I would say so too.
And then what does the next 4 weeks look like? What can you give us in terms of an outlook?
The
What's
next
on the
weeks.
agenda? I mean, there's some things you might not be able to disclose publicly, but
I can drop. So I'll tell you one thing that I think is known, and then one thing that is actual genuine alpha.
okay.
So the thing that is known is mobile V2 is going to be done probably in the next 10 days.
Mhm.
And so there's a few new features that are coming there that I think already Jupyter Mobile is like the best mobile wallet. Do you guys have Jupyter Mobile? No? What are you doing? All right, so this is now. Please take out your phones.
We cut
download.
that out. We cut that out.
You're all fired. No.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the crew.
He's
by the way.
downloading it right now.
Yeah,
so.
that's a smart man right there. So Jupyter Mobile is going to get a bunch of new features and upgrades that are particularly useful for like new users who are coming on and trying it out for the first time.
Right.
That's super cool. I can't say anything more, otherwise Vibo and Aaron will kill me. But I will say that Portfolio is an awesome product. Everyone should use it. Find free money like on chain. It's amazing.
Mhm.
The number of people I've met here at this conference today,
Mhm.
they're like, "Hey, I found like $300 I didn't know about on Jupyter Portfolio."
Yeah.
Sick. The V2 is coming out in early May, and I'm very excited about that because it
Early
looks
May.
beautiful. It works a little bit better. It's
Nice.
got complete coverage. It's really powerful product.
Talk to me about this acquisition strategy of Jupyter, and why do you think this is the right path to be on? Because what's happening right now is that Jupyter is obviously probably one of the most successful, if not the most successful, consumer-facing application on Solana right now, on metrics, on data, right? Now, obviously, company is very powerful, company has money, you guys can now expand, you can do traditional M&A activities, so you can acquire other companies, acquire their knowledge, acquire their people, acquire their products. We've seen that happen since last year. It started with CoinHall, right? It went all the way now to...
It started with Ultimate Wallet, actually. That's the one people forget about. That was the basis of Jupyter Mobile, yeah.
Right, Ultimate Wallet. I still remember that because the guys were from Berlin, right? I think it was a
Super Team
Berlin-based...
Germany members. That's
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So I actually know them. So it started there, CoinHall, which became now, I guess, Jupyter Pro to an extent.
Yes, that Aaron and Joe, who are the co-founders of CoinHall, do Spot and Jupyter Pro. Yeah,
exactly. So we got that happening, and then up to today, we have Drip even, being part of the...
that one I'm very excited
of the Jupyverse. And when I saw that, I was like, what? Okay. But I mean, obviously, there's a lot of... it's very good for the product and for Jupyter. Can we talk a bit more about the critique on this topic? Have you got some critique to the M&A strategy of Jupyter in terms of Jupyter buying up too much other successful companies on Solana, bring it all to one place? Because we're here, we like competition, we like decentralization, we like, small companies fighting with each other, and now we have this big player buying up Solana. And everything gets better now.
I think you might overestimate how much we've been buying, but yeah, I see where you're coming from with it. I don't think it honestly hasn't come up too much because we haven't really bought any competitors.
Right.
So like if we were to buy Titan or Camino or someone else like that, like everything we're buying is kind of complementary to something that exists right now.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to necessarily consolidate or stifle competition in a way that I think people tend not to like. Right. So Facebook buys Instagram to prevent a threat to itself. All due respect to Drip, great product, great team. They're never going to get into like whatever perps trading. That was never like a thing for them.
Yeah.
So for us, we haven't had too much of like that kind of guilty conscience or thinking about it in some way.
Yeah.
Our strategy has just been like, hey, we want to build the DeFi super app. We want everything that you can do on chain. We want you to do it with Jupyter. Yeah. We don't have anything with NFTs right now. Let's go get the best NFT team that exists and bring them in.
And then how do the teams feel about that? Like you're inside of Jupyter, you know the chat rooms, you know what's going on. How does it feel to be acquired by Jupyter from a founder side of you? I think I could ask the founders as well, which I will, but I want to ask you as well. How do you perceive this, and why do these teams, in your opinion, I guess, thrive inside of Jupyter in that culture?
There's it's a little bit like the Gartner hype cycle, if you're familiar with this graph, where it's like they're like, oh, I'm kind of getting acquired by Jupyter, very, very excited, like, oh my God, I just got acquired by Jupyter, like one of the biggest teams on Solana, like working with all these incredible people. And then there's the kind of like rough middle where you're like, oh wow, it's actually like these guys don't sleep. They work 7 days a week, every single day. They're working 12 hours or whatever. And people we bring on, there's usually I'll speak personally.
Yeah.
For me, it was a bit of a wake up call. I worked pretty hard at Super Team. Like, we had a global team all over the world, every time zone. It was not as intense as Jupyter. Jupyter really is pretty heavy. I mean, the team is only 90 people, right? Even now. And so there's always a bit of an adjustment period there. it's not it's unlike most organizations I've ever been a part of. It is not a KPI driven organization. There are no real recurring meetings. There are no all hands meetings. There are no like company dashboards that everyone looks at. There are no kind of like metrics that you have to hit so you know what growth looks like. Like it's much closer to like an artisanal shop than it is to like a factory.
So that's super interesting, actually.
Yeah, and it's I don't know if anyone's really ever talked about that before, but it is true. And I think for some founders when they first come in, or again, I'll just speak for myself. When I first came in, I was like, oh, this is a very different way of working.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even have a job title. My job title is cat herder, which I made up. Like that's not a thing, right?
Yeah.
There's no like, there's not really like intense direct reporting lines or an org chart of a traditional sense.
Right.
And so, you know, there's always a bit of a learning curve when people come on. But after they get used to it, I think people find it really liberating and freeing. They can work on whatever problems they think are the most important. They don't have to be weighed down by bureaucracy and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of excitement. Usually a bit of an adjustment period.
Reality check.
A reality check, yeah. And then they start to get more excited again, I think.
It's not for everyone, is it?
Definitely not. No.
How do you need to be personally from your personality wise? How do you need to be to thrive inside Jupiter?
You have to be, I think, very flexible. You have to be willing and able to take like direct and hard feedback at times. You have to be obsessed. This is not a game for part-timers. You know, no disrespect to anyone working a 9 to 5, but this is not the place to be.
Gotcha.
And I think you have to be willing to move on experiments without as much data as you might otherwise. As I say, it's not a data-focused organization. Usually I like to, you know, use data or, you know, customer interviews or whatever that kind of stuff is.
Yeah.
Qualitative, quantitative. That's just not how Jupiter operates.
That's interesting because I love data as well.
Yeah.
And we're like, especially like the business I'm in with Solana ID, we're kind of in the targeted marketing way, right, of doing things. So it's about performance metrics and so on.
Right.
So let's just take a quick.
Yeah, let him in. Who is it? Is it the police?
We need like 2 minutes and we're done. Maybe 3.
Who is it? Oh, what's up, Bangers?
GM.
Bangers is here, ladies and gentlemen. And she's the police pulling us out.
She's on time. Okay. So, but okay, data, I mean, that's crazy. Let's just wrap that topic up. How does that work? Why does that work? Because, I mean, you need to have some metrics to measure success. How do you guys measure success in Jupiter?
There's you know, you kind of feel it. You know, that's that is the honest kind of the general thing.
Yeah.
And are we building things that we love and that users love? And that's about it. And I'll be honest with you, there's a magic or an alchemy of Jupiter that I still have not fully figured out. I've only been here for 4 months. But there's a method to the madness, and I'm kind of like discovering that.
Does it come from Meow?
Meow and Xiong both, I think, are all good companies mirror the personalities of their founders, and Meow and Xiong are, you know, obviously like exceptional founders and exceptional personalities, and so they both have
experienced that.
A bunch of that.
Okay, then closing it down as we have urgent business at the door. I want to ask just one more last thing, Kash, because it's more like a personal thing probably for you. It is not like your life is not easy, I would say. It's probably challenging. I think people know, you know, you have family, you have a life outside of Jupiter and crypto.
Vanishingly small, but yes.
Yeah, but it's there, right? And you
is.
somehow, you know, try to combine it. And I think people with family or at least a girlfriend know that it's not easy, or a boyfriend, to kind of manage that together. And you probably have to do sacrifices in your life on certain fronts for what you do. And I am always very curious to hear from people that are as successful as you are in the business. Because I mean, you have a good track record on Solana. You're a face on Solana. You're known. You're very good at what you do. We don't know what you do at Jupiter, but you're good at it.
Yeah, I'll take credit for all of it. You know,
right?
That's the other thing.
I would maybe just call it comms, communications, marketing, growth, whatever it is.
Like operations, comms, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Most people don't know you do a lot of back end
mostly
well,
what
like
I do
operations.
Yeah.
People see your face. So there's a lot of stuff you do. Why? Like that's basically my question is, why do you as a man, why do you do the sacrifices you do in your personal life to pursue this career and to work for this? I think you probably ask yourself that questions once in a while.
I have, yeah. So, I mean, the answer, I don't know if well, so there's 2 answers. There's like the very practical answer is that I, like a lot of other people, feel like I have some talent, and I like to be challenged and contribute that talent to a mission larger than myself.
Okay.
Especially one that helps like provide for my family and so on and so forth.
For sure.
The real aggression, if I'm being like 100% honest with you, is I think that there is a non-zero chance that like there is a fast takeoff in AI, and we are possibly in the last 3 to 5 years in which like people can actually make substantive amounts of wealth before AI flips over the table. And so my advice to everybody is like, these are not the years to be relaxing. Like these are the years before things could change forever. And I don't think that's 100% chance. Like, you know, it's a probabilistic determination, but I believe in it. The probability is high enough to make me work meaningfully harder than I would otherwise.
Wow. So
yeah,
guys, Kash is not even competing with humans anymore. He's competing with the machines.
I'm trying to compete with the humans until there's no competition left. That's the game plan here.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Kash, this has been fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. See you in the gym.
In the next time. Yeah. See you in the gym. Yeah. Peace out, guys. Wrapping up the stream. Greetings from Istanbul. We'll see you tomorrow for another special EP for Soul Brothers Pod together with Eno as well tomorrow morning. So peace out, guys. See ya.
Peace.